You didn't lose your confidence in one big moment. Your confidence didn't, pack its bag and say, right, that's me, I'm off, I'm out of here, see you later. And nobody just wakes up one day and says, I just don't believe in myself anymore. It leaks out, it drips out, drop by drop, a wee bit at a time, every single time something goes wrong. And you let it mean something about who you are, instead of just being data that's collected about something that's happened. Here's something that I want you to hear today about confidence after a failure or a setback. A setback is evidence, not a verdict, not an identity. And by the end of this, you're going to know the difference, because a lot of people don't. So here's what's actually happened. Every time you fail at something goes wrong. Maybe it's a job, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a goal that you had high expectations for. Some part of you quietly opens up a big file. Maybe it's a massive big filing cabinet, right? Because it's just holding all of those past failures and setbacks in there. And it puts another failure, pop that inside. And it's popping it inside, not as this one thing that just didn't work out, but as proof. It's proof that you failed again. And I like to call this the evidence file. And here's the problem with the evidence file. Nobody is cross-examining it. It's getting away with murder. Nobody's asking, hang on a wee minute, is this proof of anything at all? Or is it just something that's happened? And what happens is it just sits there, getting thicker, the filing cabinet getting longer and longer. And every so often, your brain, as it loves to do, just opens this big filing cabinet and says, see, this is who you are here. This is the result of all of your efforts. Except it isn't, is it? A failure or a setback, it's just data that we're gathering. It's just one event at one moment in your life. But it tells you nothing about your worthiness, nothing at all. Says nothing about your capabilities, says nothing about what comes next. It's just putting a big smudge on who your brain wants you to think you are. But we don't treat it like data, we treat it like a verdict, we treat it like our identity. And that there, my friend, is the whole problem. And here's why we do this. Our brain loves to hang on to the stuff that makes us cringe and squirm. It loves to hang on to those failures. So much more than it wants to hang on to the good stuff. The brain will hold on to the bad stuff like Velcro, and then it will let go of the good stuff like Teflon. But this isn't a flaw, right? This is actually a survival thing. And we've got our good old pal instinct to keep us on that path here. Historically, remembering the thing that hurt you. It kept you safe, didn't it? Keeping those receipts to what went wrong in the past makes you go, I won't do that again. So when something goes wrong, it doesn't register, it just sticks. And you'll be filing it away with far more weight than what it's worth. But here's the problem. Instinct was built for danger, not for rejection, not for disappointment, not for something that could have gone better, not for a relationship that ended or a job that had run its course, and not for the version of you that tried something very brave but it just didn't land. Although that can sting too. Because your nervous system doesn't know the difference between this could kill me and that was really disappointing. It's just filing it in the same way. And all this filing cabinet does is act as proof for you that you failed. So confidence here doesn't actually get destroyed by failure, does it? It just gets outvoted. And every single setback, what does this do? It accumulates. It acts as one more additional piece of evidence to a file that's already stacked against you. And eventually, you stop showing up. The filing cabinet's so full that you feel that you can't actually bring any more cases to court. You've just accepted the verdict. And you do this quietly without even acting if it was fair in the first place. What's that saying? How does it go again? You don't ever work with kids or animals. So a few years ago, I was invited into a high school with a colleague of mine, and we were doing this programme called Ready Player One. It focuses on anxiety, it focuses on inviting young people to figure out what their values in life is and be able to set some boundaries as well. It was a really good programme actually, and what I found was that when I went into the classroom there was all these wee faces looking at me, and when asking, what is it that brings you here today, what I found out was that quite a few of them were here because of classroom control. Maybe they were giving the teachers a hard time. A few answers were, I don't know, I just don't want to be in maths right now. And automatically in that moment, my confidence went from here to here. Absolutely took the wind out my sails, so it did before we'd even got started. Session 1 went okay, I got through it. I really left thinking, oh no, that didn't go as well as it could have gone. Session 2, I found myself trying to be liked by these 14 to 16-year-olds, which is quite interesting as well, because also hearing during that session cringe took the wind out of those sails too. And it made me think, how is it that you speak to teenagers? And it really made me start to wonder if I was cut out for such a job. I had went home thinking, oh no, this isn't for me actually, I don't think I can do this. I don't think that I'm cut out for it. Sessions 1 and 2 really had me in a place of thinking, who am I to even think that I can do this job? And I can remember just how sad I felt and how disconnected I felt to the work that I do and to try and make it fit and reach young people. And I remember that turning point actually, because for me what it was is during that week I didn't actually think, how can I reach them? How can I make this fit them? How can I How can I be better? How can I be better? Which I had done in week 1. I actually went back and looked over the receipts that I had gathered from all of the other workshops that I've done, the feedback forms that people so kindly fill out, that no, they don't make up my worthiness, but they do validate that yes, I do indeed do a good job. And for me, that was the most important part of it all, knowing that the job that I do is good, knowing that the work that I'm here in that moment in front of those young people to offer is really work that would help them, even if it's some small degree, and they might never have admitted this in the classroom, that they took something and that was what it was all about. It wasn't that I was rubbish and couldn't do it. But I was telling myself that in week 1 and 2, I'm not cut out for this, I can't do this. Who do I think I am to try? Then week 3 to 6 had decided actually maybe it's time for me to take note and remember who I am and remember that the work that I do is really good work, and I know that work will be able to help people. I know that people who struggle with anxiety will be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel for it. They'll be able to put their head up, their chest forwards, and go on their wee selves. So how is it then that you deal with a file that's already feeling pretty full? It's already packed with years of evidence stacked against you. You don't burn it. You can rip it up all you want, but it will still put itself back together again. I know, I've got proof of those. And you do not pretend that it's empty, because, what good is that? You do something much, much simpler. You cross-examine it. 2 questions, that's it. First question, is this actually concrete proof of who I am? Or is it just one thing that's actually happened? Say that out loud the next time that something goes on that, you've thought that you've failed at, or that you're trying to judge yourself, or even trying to identify with being a failure. Is this actually proof of who I am? Don't dismiss it, but just make it relevant. Just make it the size that it actually should be, instead of the size that it's actually making itself out to be. Second question, what would I need to see to actually believe this file? Not one bad interview, not one hard and tough year. What would it genuinely take? Because when you ask this question honestly and listen, the answer is almost always a lot more than what is actually in there, a lot more than the evidence that you've gathered in that filing cabinet. And that's the whole shift. It's not about not making failure ever feel bad again. You're human. But you need to stop letting one setback stand trial for your entire worthiness. It's not fair. And it was never qualified to make that ruling in the first place. A setback is evidence, but it's not the verdict. So if it is that you have been identifying with failure and setback much more than anything else in your life, give me a shout. My email address is in the description just underneath here, so you can send me an email and maybe we'll have a chat online. Maybe it's time for you to also look at the other stuff too. And we can do that together. You don't have to do that on your own. I'll come along. I'll be your tour guide. Give me a shout. And rebuilding your confidence starts with what actually goes in that filing cabinet from this moment here. Be gentle with yourself. You are a work in progress.